This is a subject that I do not take lightly, and I want to make sure that I do not skip a beat in this video. Before I get started though, I want to be clear that there's a lot of people that want to be victims. They have this desire to be a victim. This is not the video for you. This is for people that are actually experiencing this kind of thing and that are actually going through being a targeted individual, because the level of which you're going to be targeted is dependent entirely upon the manner in which you are shaking up the matrix or the system, or what I call the simulation, not the simulator. So the simulation is what everybody wants you to be in. But as soon as you start to realize that this is a simulator and not a simulation, then people will start to target you. And the more you operate from the simulator perspective rather than the simulation, and do it the government or whoever it is, they want you to be participating in this MK Ultra programming or Project Bluebeam down the line, whatever. You got to be sure that this is something to be really considerate of and not to take lightly as well. Now, in the Bible, it does say that the wicked watcheth the righteous and seeketh to slay him. That is Psalms 37:32. And this is very true. When you actually are on the righteous path, this is going to be the case. And a lot of people desire to be the victim, but God makes us what we are. Yes, somebody targets you, and somebody has targeted you if you're watching this video, but that does not mean that they get to make your destiny. Okay, they don't get to do that. God does. God has the power to overcome anything if we have the faith to do so. And when we have faith, when we have the proper faith to align ourselves, it allows us to be more in the present moment. When we have the faith to walk by faith and not by sight, things are going to change. So I want this to be more of an uplifting video, but also discuss the serious potentialities of what happens. So I've got a list here that you're going to want to write down from. There's a few things that I want to talk about here. So these are going to be the objectives of anybody that is being targeted. This is what the objectives are going to be: to discredit the target, to taint the target's image, to suppress a target's financial success, to round down the target's output and audience, or shadow banning, to destroy the target's life, or to get them to believe that they should destroy their own life, and then to inflict suicidal thoughts on the target. And they're doing this through psyops, they're doing this through trauma control, base mind control tactics, they're doing this through MK Ultra, etc. And something that I have realized as of today is that something that is going on with the ever-changing landscape and the novelty of the content creator and the influencer position and the novelty therein, it seems to me that the trends that are happening, because everybody knows that there's trends in social media nowadays, like, oh, there's this new trend on TikTok, or there's this new trend on that. And this is all to get the NPCs, think about the hive mind of the NPCs. This is all to get the collective NPCs to move in a particular manner. And if they were able to get people to move in such a way collectively, they'll be able to quite literally mind control so many other kinds of people that the people that are actually awake, even though we're few in number, we're real, and we are more powerful than these NPCs out here. But that doesn't mean that the numbers are not going to be something to think about and something to ponder. Okay, there are studies that have been showed through, I don't even know if I want to get quite into that just yet. I don't know if we're quite ready to go off the deep end, but because this stuff is already pretty deep, but there's some certain things that I want to discuss, but I'm a little hesitant to discuss simply because I'm not quite sure what my audience is ready for. And this is a feel for what the audience is ready for and what the audience is prepared for, because this is a topic that needs to be addressed, but I also want to make sure that this is going to be something that people can get value from, people can understand and take note of in case things happen. Because all of these objectives that I've just mentioned, the discrediting the target, tainting the target's image, gang stalking, or to smear campaign on the individual, making sure the target's success is not applicable or able to be applied. It's almost as if entrepreneurship, this is one of the reasons I preach about entrepreneurship so much, is it's not just a self-development thing, because having a business will do that for you. It will help you grow, and you only grow, like your business will grow into proportion to how you grow. That's something else I've noticed recently, and something that I think many people will not fully understand, except for these target individuals, is that these kinds of things are very, very real. I have a story I'm going to tell you all. I don't know if I've ever told this on YouTube or X or any other platform that I have, that I'm going to be planting this video and putting this video out there, because we're planting seeds, right? There was a day, maybe 2021, 2022, and this was, maybe a year or so after the George Floyd stuff, and so it was probably 2021. It was a hot summer day, and I had made it a point to go to the canyon at every day at a certain time, 1 or 2 days in the week. And I no longer do this because of what happened, but I had a very strange occurrence one day. It legitimately felt like I was time hopping, and it felt as though I didn't really know what was happening, because at the time I was feeling really blissed out. I don't know how else to describe it. I was feeling really good, and I was just really high in bliss. And I was sober, and I wasn't participating in anything crazy. I was just feeling really good and meditative, and I was just having a really solid day, and everything was just going great. It was like the best day I'd had in years. And suddenly, as I was arriving to this place in the canyon, because there's this place where there's this small pond, or I guess you could almost call it a small lake, and there's always ducks there, and there's a bridge that you get to go across to go onto this walkway that's on the other side of this river. So it's a man-made lake, and there's dams, here and here, and so here's the lake, and you have to cross this bridge right here to get to the walkway, so you can walk along the river. And I always love to do that on these certain days at certain times. And so I did this, and it was just another day, but I was feeling very, very good. And I saw there was this group of Black people that were there, and I wasn't really bothered or anything by it, because I've had Filipino friends my whole life. I've had Hispanic friends my whole life. Nothing really bothered me. And they said, hey, you, hey, come get in this picture. And I said, what? Me? Why? What are you guys doing? Well, what are you up to? And they were all dressed really well. Like, they looked like they were in the top echelons of, like, they were dressed to the suit and tie. The women were extraordinarily beautiful. The men were very handsome. Everybody was wearing, just dressed to the nines, okay? Which was very peculiar in this place anyway. Like, it didn't make sense, because this is the canyon, right? Maybe I thought, maybe it's a wedding pictures or something that they're doing, but why do they want me in the picture? And they wouldn't let me go. They wouldn't let me go down the river. They said, no, just because there was like 9 or 10 of them. and several women, and most of them were men. And they stopped me and they said, no, 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 get down on the floor and sit down on the ground, and we'll come around you and we'll take a picture with you. And I said, look, I'm just here to walk. I'm just having a good time. I'm just enjoying the day. I don't really know what this is. Well, anyway, they insisted that I did. And I didn't really feel threatened, but I didn't really feel safe either. And I was like, okay, you know what? I don't know what this is. I'll just humor them for the moment. And I said, well, what are you guys doing? Is this for a newspaper or something? Like, sure, I'll take the picture, but what is it for? It's like, oh yeah, we're just visiting, and so we want to just take pictures with people. Well, visiting from where? Oh, around here. We're not from here, really. They never gave me a direct answer. And at the time, I was just feeling so blissed out that, like, I felt so high and alive that didn't really care too much. So I sat down and I took the picture with them, but they made me sit on the ground and they were all standing up. And when I went to see the picture, they acted like I wasn't even there. They just started laughing, and just all of a sudden it was like I was a ghost. And it felt like a humiliation ritual at that point. I was like, did I just participate in a humiliation ritual or something? Because they were just laughing their behinds off. They were just, it was almost like they weren't directly mocking me, but it felt like they were mocking me. And then for the next few weeks after that, I had these strange occurrences at my job and, just around with technology not working. I had just certain weird things starting to occur. And I thought, oh my gosh, did I invite some kind of spirit into my life? Did I invite something? Because it felt like I was time hopping. Because I had a meditation shortly after, maybe a few days after this, where it was as if I had been participating in a humiliation ritual, and they were almost like trying to be this upper class sophisticated, and then there's this puny white mountain man. It felt like a racist humiliation ritual, to be honest. And I really don't like to bring race into things because I don't really even believe in like races per se. Yeah, there's people of different ethnicities, and I think there is spiritual significance to ethnicities, but I really think that it's about spirit and truth. God, in the Bible, it says that man is made in God's image. It's not white men, it's not black men, it's not, Indian men, or women. It's just mankind was made in God's image. And that's the way that I see it. That's the way that I've really always seen it, or at least have tried to. So this was a very strange, peculiar experience, and something that affected my other aspects and avenues of my life thereafter. So I wanted to share this as a story for you guys, to give you just a minor example of this kind of stuff, because it's very strange. Like, these people, I still don't know. I never saw them again. I never heard from them again. I never knew where they were or what they were doing, but it felt like a threat. By the time I walked away, I was like, oh, I was very, very, very naive about this. I was very naive. I felt very unsophisticated. And it was because I was just in that joyful state. And it's like, what does the devil do? The devil comes when he wants to kill, steal, and destroy. And I was feeling good. I was going in a good place in my life, my good career. And you know what? Now that I think about it, it was June of 2021, I believe. That was when it was. It was before I'd started to really follow Christ. I know that. And because I started to follow Christ in January of 2022, fully. So yeah, it was well before, but I was still not quite putting all the puzzle pieces together. There were still a few things that I didn't quite understand. And I still have these kinds of strange occurrences that I don't really talk about because, I don't really want to put that kind of stuff out there into the world and into the ether of the internet. But that always struck me as a very weird thing. It was a very weird phenomenon, and it felt like it was a potential timeline in which the elites wanted to see, they talk about retribution, or they want to talk about, reparations. That's the term. That's what it kind of felt like. It felt like it was weird, man. It was very strange. And this is just part of what people do when you are targeting an individual. You experience just weird things. I've had people on my mentorship calls that I do one-on-one where people have told me that whenever they're starting to do better in life, there's these weird people that always come around and just like honk the horn in the middle of the night. Just random weird stuff, right? And if you were to tell somebody about this that's never experienced it, because this is what they want. This actually might be one of the most important aspects to take away from this video. They want you to believe that schizophrenia is, going to be the thing that is playing a part here more so than the actual targeted individual. They want, like, the NPCs are going to be saying, "Oh, you're just schizophrenic." It's like, no. Something weird's happening. I know I'm not crazy because I know the difference between my inner neurotic side, and I know the difference between the feeling of being watched and feeling like I'm being targeted right now. Like people are trying to do something to me. I've had people tell me some other weird things, that they're male. They're like, they have a legitimate, like, locked key mailbox, right? And they'll get these weird random letters that the mailman claims to never have put in there and whatnot. And it's like, they have no clue, and it's always anonymous, and it's always like typed out. So they don't have like an inner, they don't have like a penmanship. That's the word I was looking for. They don't have a penmanship to look at. So it's like, what is this? How do you explain these kinds of weird things and weird phenomena? And with the financial success too, that's been another big thing. Is I swear I've been in positions in the past with my jobs. I swear that there was some kind of leverage being held over the boss that I had. I don't know. I understand the way that this sounds to some people, but to the people that understand what it's like to be a targeted individual, you'll totally get it. You'll totally feel like, yeah, I genuinely feel like this is something that actually happens. They're actually trying to destroy our lives. They're trying to program us. They're trying to make us believe certain things. And it's now, I think more than ever before, the content creators, the influencers, all these other different kind of people, they're going to be the ones that are going to be pushing out the MK Ultra programming. I mean, you see, do I want to name names? I don't want to name names. I have one in particular in mind that I'm thinking of. Let's just say that he's a beast. Game show host. You might get it. You might get the reference. You might not. But that guy, something is off about this dude. Something is really, really off. He looks like somebody who should not be in the position that he's in. They've got plants everywhere, right? Like people, even pastors, or even like people that are in the higher echelons of power or in the judicial system, these people are plants, some of them. Okay, they're legitimate plants. And if you don't believe in that kind of stuff, look at Edward Snowden's permanent record book and look at how they intercept messages and analog signals and all these other things to map out where you're at, what you're doing, and to mark your behaviors so that you'd be more likely to vote for certain people based on those behaviors that you're exhibiting. Like, this is really deep stuff, and if you think that this is why I don't trust the government at all. This is why I don't trust any of them. And I think that this was a pretty solid message. I said everything that I wanted to say here. I hope that you guys got the information that you needed about this, and you guys took some notes at the beginning talking about the objectives of being a targeted individual, because that's really the most important part. But I wanted to share a personal story that I haven't really shared before, talk about just kind of the weird stuff that's happening. It's not always a direct threat, but it's just, it's harassment to some degree, and it is harassment, and it's not, like I said, I didn't feel really threatened, but I didn't really feel safe in those situations. But in other situations, I've definitely felt threatened, but I will not talk about those just yet, at least not on the internet. But anyways, guys, I hope this message was useful and insightful for you. If you do want to join an elite group of spiritual people where we are growing in mind, body, and soul each and every day, join the Regal Change Academy. We have the paid community, links in the description box below. And we also have a free Telegram subscription channel that you can check out. But all the messages in there will auto-delete after 24 hours. So that'll be something to really think about and ponder, and get the information while you can. And then we also have the X community for Regal Change Academy. We took away the free Discord, but now we're going to try to move that community over to X now, because X is going to be a big place, a big app in the future, I think. And so I want to make sure that we're ahead of the game, and we're going to bigger and better places and bigger, better things. And with all that being said, I hope that you guys have a blessed rest of your day. Peace be with you all. Until next time.